In this tutorial, we'll learn how to use gauge visualizations in Oracle Analytics Cloud. Gauge visualizations help me track a single metric against a target, or within a defined range, so I can quickly track KPIs and visualize progress towards business goals. In this scenario, I'm reviewing recent sales performance and need to build a canvas highlighting sales-related KPIs using gauge charts. I'll begin with a workbook loaded with my order lines dataset. I'll right-click Sales in the data pane, choose Pick Visualization, then I'll select Gauge. Now I see the gauge chart on my canvas showing our current sales in a semicircular dial. I can see right away that we have 8.5 million in sales. In the grammar pane, I can add a target value and start and end values for the gauge. Since my data includes a target sales column, I'll add it to values target so I can compare the actual sales with a target value. I want to add labels to the gauge to show more information and context. So I'll select Properties and go to Range Labels under Gauge. I can set the labels to start/end to display the start and end values. Or I can set them all to add more intermediate labels. I'll set range labels to start/end. I can also specify a number format for the range labels. Since we're working with sales, I'll set it to display as currency. I want the other numbers on my gauge to display as currency too. I'll select the Values tab and then select currency for the number format for both the target sales and sales columns. Since I don't have any measure columns in my dataset that I can use for the start and end values in the grammar pane, I'll configure them here in Properties instead. I'll go back to the General tab. Under Gauge, I'll leave Start on Auto, but I'll use the custom option for End. I'll set it to 14 million because I think our sales could reach that high. Now I have a semicircular gauge showing our sales progress against the target. If I need the gauge to better fit my canvas layout, I can change the gauge type. I can choose a circular type, which looks like a donut, or I can choose a horizontal bar or vertical bar if I want a straight shape. I'll choose vertical bar. If I don't have a sales target measure in my dataset, I can still add a target by creating a calculation and using that calculation as the gauge target. I could add the calculation to values target in the grammar pane in place of a measure column. To do this, I'll right-click my calculations in the data pane and select Create Calculation. I'll name it Target Sales Calc. If I were to simply input a numeric value in the grammar pane, then the calculation would recognize this as an attribute or text value. I must use a mathematical function, like max, so the calculation is recognized as a measure, which is required for it to be used as the target. I'll use max 11 million to set the target value for this example. Now I'll drag my new calculation to values target and I can see the new target value reflected in the gauge. Now that I've created and formatted a gauge with a clear range and target, I can add additional gauges for other KPIs to quickly see what's on track and what needs attention. Find more videos in this series and additional resources on using Oracle Analytics Cloud in the links below.